FlossTube. My name is Becca Klash, and this is my first FlossTube. Today's date is May 4th, 2019. If you're catching this when it first goes live, welcome. If you're catching this months or years from now, welcome. I hope I have subsequent videos. You never know with the first one. And my cat is over here playing with my light. Again, welcome. My channel name is My Stitchy Home, and I chose that because I have a lot of stitchy stuff filling my house, so I thought that sounded like a good name. Again, my name is Becca, and I live in Columbus, Georgia. I am going to do the Needleworkers tag, so Know Your Needleworker tag, so that you can get to know me better. So I think I'll start off with that, if that's okay. I already said I live in Columbus, Georgia. I am retired. I retired about 5 years ago so I could take care of my mother, who was not well, and she has since passed away. And I have since discovered quilting and expanded my cross stitch, counted canvas work life, so that keeps me really busy. But before I retired, I was project manager for a huge IT company that processes credit cards. I started off years ago as a computer programmer, and then I went into managing computer programming projects. Finally transitioned to our computer operations area where the big mainframe computers were, and I worked on projects there. And then before I retired, the last 8 years, I worked in information security, managing strategic projects there. And so that was a wonderful opportunity to work for a company that was and is growing. So there were always new things, new technology coming out, all kinds of new things the company needed and wanted to do. And as a project manager, I was blessed to be a part of that. I was also blessed because I met my husband there in 2006, and we married in 2011, so I've been married almost 8 years. His name is Dave. We don't have any kids because we were single career people for that part of our life. So we do have a cat. I'm the cat person, more so in the house. Always pretty much had a cat growing up, and even as a single person would have 1 or 2 cats. So our cat now is a 13-year-old female. She's a gray striped domestic short hair, I guess. Her name is Duchess, and she knows she's a Duchess and expects to be treated in that manner, so we do our best. Hobbies other than stitching. Well, I already mentioned I've taken up quilting. That kind of came about after I retired. I had done a lot of garment sewing as a teenager, 20s, a little bit into my 30s. I made somebody's wedding dress back in the early 90s, big poofy shoulder, big train. So I had enjoyed sewing a lot. A lot of my clothes growing up I sewed. My prom dress I sewed. So I was interested in sewing, and my machine was from 1980, 79, 80, 81. My mom had bought it. It was her machine, and she passed it to me. So I knew I needed something. It was not in good shape. Even though I'd had it serviced, it was not in good shape. So after I retired and was kind of reintroduced to sewing, I asked for a new machine, and my husband's family gifted me with that, which was wonderful. So I have definitely put it to good use. I've done a lot of quilting, a lot of sewing, and I'll show some of that to you. You can see behind me a quilt called Strawberry Picking, and I should know who the designer is. I meant to look it up and I forgot, but this is done. This is ready to be gifted to a friend of mine. and I always try to give her something strawberry themed, so I hope she'll like that. And Pam, if you're watching this at some future date, hello. Hopefully you already have this by the time you watch this. Favorite movie. So I don't see a lot of movies, but one movie that I liked it for a lot of different reasons is The American President with Michael Douglas and Annette Bening. And I like the humor of it. I like the storyline. There were a few things that were kind of odd, but I've watched it several times. So for some reason, I really liked An American President. And favorite television show. Well, 2 or 3 years ago, we stopped really watching TV, but through the beauty of the internet, I can watch a lot of TV shows via the computer. So I do like Fixer Upper or other HGTV type shows. I like Say Yes to the Dress, which is a TLC show. I like Counting On. I like genealogy shows like Finding Your Roots or Who Do You Think You Are? So I get to watch some TV, even though it's not through your standard TV cable type thing. My favorite book is one that I was introduced to years ago back in college, and it's called In His Steps. It's by Charles Sheldon, and it's really a message about living out your Christian faith in a very authentic way, and it really touched me, and so it remains my favorite book, I guess. Favorite music. Well, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, so that's pop rock of that era is very familiar to me. And I also like contemporary Christian and some country, kind of country pop type music. So if I get to choose what I listen to, it's of one of those things. And my husband said one word that describes me is caring. And I think that's lovely that that's the word he uses. So I will try to live up to that. Okay, next up, you're here for the cross stitch, right? So I'm going to show you some past finishes. And these are cross stitch, a counted canvas work piece. In case you're not familiar with that term, if you might be familiar with needlepoint, and it's on the same canvas material, so it's a lot of specialty stitches, whereas traditional needlepoint is a half cross, a tent stitch. So anyway, I'll show that to you. And so in no particular order, I picked up this at a stash sale, and I hope you can read that. It's by Oberlin Samplers, and I guess it's called Witches. I guess that's the name of the pattern. Everything was stitched except for this bottom corner. And so I finished the stitching, and I turned it into a pillow. So, and this will go into our my local chapter of the Embroiderers Guild of America. We have a Christmas sale thing where to make money for the guild for education. I also picked this up at a stash sale, and it's by Heart in Hand, called Posy Pot. It's a little pillow, and it actually came with the pillow and the linen. So I just used threads I had on hand to stitch that up. And that's going to be a gift for a friend of mine that watches our cat a lot. Through the inspiration of FlossTube, I have decided to start finishing things in a non-traditional way. And so this was something, I don't know that you would call it Priscilla-fied, referring to Priscilla and Chelsea of length there. Anyway, button, who's got the button? And I just used various threads. Instead of stitching these with different threads, I used a variegated thread and kind of went around, you know, in a circle. So, and then I bought a unfinished tray at Joann's and painted it and sponge painted it, and it hangs on the wall. And it was a buy one get one half off deal on the unfinished wood. So after stitching this, I bought a bigger tray. You can see it's a bigger tray, and this was also from a stash sale. Somebody was getting rid of their stuff, and I used threads that I had, and it came with a button pack. So these are little buttons, little just another button company buttons, I believe. And I put the pom-poms on the edge, and I thought it turned out cute. Hangs on the wall. I've just painted it white, kind of a creamy white. But prior to that, I would finish things with framing glass at Michael's. This is a cross stitch I did. I don't know the designer. It's called Hearts. And I used threads I had that kind of sort of matched the pattern. I do have the pattern on this one. It's a Wildflower Kaleidoscope Designs by Bev Bestitched, and I bought this in Texas. It features wildflowers of Texas, and so I spent some time in Texas last year and wanted a remembrance of that, so I stitched this. Only I didn't stitch it on black. I stitched it on kind of a beigey color, I guess. I don't know. Glare. But I got a shadow box, and I had Michael's lace it and cut the mat, and then I put it in the shadow box. That was a little cheaper way of doing it. Anything else? Oh, counted canvas work. I said I was going to show you an example of that. This is Shay Pendray is the designer. It's a sampler of hers, and I'll just show you. Hopefully you can see some of the stitches there. And it actually came kitted up. It was in somebody's stash. They had kitted it up with the canvas and all the pearl cotton threads. And I stitched it and had Michael's frame it. I made this from a panel. I cut a panel apart. Part of the panel I used to create the bottom of this bag. And it has a little magnetic snap with a bee skip, and it has bee themed, no it doesn't, oh yeah, the bee themed a coordinating print, I guess, for the binding here, and then a store-bought handle. You can get these at Joann's. It's just a little purse. And I also made, from the same fabric, a mug rug. And this will go to Jen of Jen's Stitchy Niche. Hey Jen! She saw me with a mug rug that I'd made when I met her at a cross stitch retreat in February in Orange Beach, Alabama, a Katrina Boyd cross stitch retreat, and she fell in love with the mug rug, so I went home and made her one with the bee themed fabric and other coordinating kind of gold and black tan fabric. So Jen, this and this will be coming to you, and I hope you enjoy them very much. I enjoyed meeting you. And if I'd gotten my act together and recorded this floss tube sooner, you would have had them sooner. Okay. Oh, and one last sewing project I pulled because it's very colorful is this bag. It's made with lots of little scraps of batik fabric and a faux suede fabric, and you can see on the back more of that faux suede. These were just little scraps, literally this little, left over from a quilt I made. And the faux suede was left over from another bag I made. And this pattern for this, it's kind of an odd bag shape, really wide but not very tall, came from a craftsy class I took. So I took the shape of the bag from the craftsy class, and then I just sort of made my own fabric from all these little scraps, and I love it. But it's not terribly practical. But sometimes things we love are not practical, so there you go. Okay, this is getting rather long, isn't it? All right, in progress. So right now I am spending time working on a piece by Twin Peak Primitives called Tracking the Seasons. It depicts the 4 seasons, and each season has barns and tractors and kind of farm life. Reminds me of growing up in Indiana. So I got that. And I'm using the called for DMC, but kind of after I got started, I realized I wasn't happy with how flat the plain DMC looked, so I've started incorporating in places variegated floss that I have. So like the Weeping Willow, I'm using variegated floss for that. The roof was done in I guess some people call it fancy floss. I combined one strand of a fancy floss with one strand of DMC to do this little outbuilding, I guess. So this is, I think, summer with the red, white, and blue for 4th of July. And that's what I'm working on right now. I am going to be taking an online class. It's offered by the Shining Needle Society, which is free to join. Anybody can join the Shining Needle Society. First instructions come out, I think, on the 7th. Also, so that's kind of a future, I guess, but I have in progress from By the Bay Needle Arts, the Nantucket Village, and I'm going to be stitching this whole village, but right now I'm working on the center one, this one. And this is what I have done so far. I'm stitching it on a kind of a blue even weave. Let's see what it says. It's 28 count Summer Sky Jobulin even weave. And it's pretty. Really tiny little stitches because I'm doing it over one. I know. I also started this. I love Jeanette Douglas. And this is Patriotic Sampler. A lot of folks did this as part of a SAL. And I kind of got all my stuff together after a lot of people were done with it. But I have started it on, let's see, I don't know the name of this. It's kind of a blue peachy tan, I guess. And I haven't got very far, but I've got all the little charms and buttons and things, so it's cute. It's cute. Got it. I'll get back to that eventually. Then I jumped on the Christmas Land bandwagon by Raise the Roof Designs. and it's, you know, kind of hard to see exactly, but it's a Christmas land. It's houses, looks like a school or church, trees, and it says, "The street is filled with visions grand, a lovely night in Christmas land." And I have just the little beginnings of a start. I also started, and I've made a lot of progress on this ink circles called Bloomers. It was picked up at a stash sale, and I just some random even weave that I had, and I love the blue, and so sort of kind of going with the brown, orange, beige, cream theme. I just pulled various flosses I had, some variegated, some not, and I'm stitching that. First time I've ever done an ink circles. Oh, this is a finished, but not fully finished. I should have shown this earlier. Whoop. So this is from the Prairie Schooler, and I stitched this one, measure twice, cut once. The pattern is called Countrywise, and it comes with different designs. And so I stitched the bottom one, except I had a counting error, and so I ended up, I don't know if you can see, in the pattern there's this chair there, and I messed up so there wasn't room for the chair. So I decided, because the pattern was measure twice, that I would put in a little measuring tape. And I changed a few of the colors, but this was a super fun stitch. I really liked it. I liked a variety of things. I hate to say I'm all one, or, you know, not this or all this. I like a lot of things. This one is Silver Creek Samplers, and what was it called? There's a name. Oh, Garden Bliss. Garden Bliss. And I grew up with this poem, "The Kiss of the Sun for Pardon, the Song of the Birds from Earth. You are nearer God's heart in the garden than anywhere else on this earth." That was in our kitchen growing up. So when I saw this, I knew I wanted to stitch it. And I ended up putting the year and my initials here. And so that made this rake a little shorter than the original pattern, but I love it. And I have a frame for this, another shadow box, so I just have to get busy and get it framed. And the Prairie Schooler one, I'm going to do it as a flat finish on a dark wood fence looking, I guess, plaque that like you get at Joann's or Michael's or Hobby Lobby. Okay, I've also stitched this one, the Little House Needleworks Needle and Thread, and it's kind of hard to see the design, so I just used a variety of threads, so mine doesn't match the original, but my husband thinks this is hysterical because it says, needle and thread, when starlight fades, I lay them to bed." And he thinks that's funny because it's starlight, not sunlight. So I oftentimes stitch really late or early into the morning hours and then go to bed. Okay, I think this is my last finished, not fully finished, Banana Pants Purdy. I heard about this through Pam and Steph of the FlossTube channel, Just Keep Stitchin. Hi Pam, hi Steph. And it is by Artist Design. Amanda May is her name. And she sent me the pattern and these little fruit charms too. And I made a few changes. I added this little yellow detail to her top. I opened up the cat's eyes. I I turned, let me go back. See how her feet are turned out? I decided to turn one foot down. So I made a few little changes here or there. And cute. I have not fully finished it, but I do have a white frame for it to go in. And then I'll try to run through these quick. These are projects that I have kitted up. And this one is a Lizzie Kate. And I have the frame, the cute little fence frame. You've probably seen this before. And I have a, it doesn't say, oh, unless, oh, color is, sorry y'all, quartz. The color is quartz or pink. This is one I pulled out of the, I think the clearance bin at Keepsakes in Cincinnati. The Sewing Circle Kingdom Sampler. The year on it is 2014. Some people might think it's a little older pattern, but it's not. And I got this beautiful lilac color. Picture This Plus called Sprite, 32 count. And so my colors are blues and greens and purples. So I'm looking forward to stitching that. It'll be really pretty. This is, a lot of you have probably seen it or stitched it. And it's charted with DMC, and I'm probably going to use mostly DMC, but got this blue mystery linen to do it on. So I'm looking forward to that. More hours in the day. Hands-on design under a quilt. Comforted by love. One who sleeps under a quilt is comforted by love. And I was lucky enough to find this kind of yellowy gold, beigey gold linen. So that's cute. We're getting down to the bottom. My Big Toe Designs Eat the Chocolate. It says 4 out of 5 voices in my head say eat the chocolate. And I got the button pack because these are little buttons. And I have sort of a blue and white even weave scrap that I found in a scrap bin in a shop, possibly at Keepsakes in Cincinnati. Possibly. Another Silver Creek sampler. And this one is called Stitching Feeds My Heart. It says, when silver needle and golden thread, with silver needle and golden thread, I'll stitch until my heart is fed. And the year on this is 2014. And I have this opalescent 28 count crystal bramble. Crystal bramble. I don't know that you can, if you can see the opalescent color. So, and then I got a piece of fabric for 2 different patterns. I haven't cut the fabric, so one is the drawn thread, the cat's meow, because I like cats. You can see that. And the other one is a Jeanette Douglas, Take Time to Quilt, because I like quilting. And the fabric I got is, let's see, do I know the name of it? Yes, it is 32 count Tyco Belfast linen. And it's a light cream. I thought the gold and silver would show up well, and the cat pattern too. All the colors in the cat pattern would show up well. And I think this is the last one. Barnwood buttons. I got the button pack, all these beautiful, beautiful buttons. But it's Michelle Garrett, Bendy Stitchy. Bendy Stitcher. Anyway, she was stitching it. And I told her, you inspire me. I need to get this out. So I did. I pulled it out. I haven't started it yet, but I will. So, I've already talked about my plans. I'm going to do the County Canvas Work Kimono class by the Shiny Needle Society. And I'm going to continue working. So I will show progress on this. And I'm going to continue working on tracking the seasons. And I have others that are in progress, but I have taken up enough of your time. I enjoyed this very much, and I look forward to sharing with you again. And oh, and I do want to mention one more thing. One more thing I have here. I have stitched, but not fully finished. It's the 2017 Linen and Threads, and I cannot get back far enough. Mystery Sampler, which is a Facebook group, Linen and Threads. And it was a free pattern on their website. And I have this 32 count avocado linen in my stash. It was odd color. I got it from a stash sale. And so I just looked on a color wheel at what the two opposite colors were, you know, evenly spaced on a color wheel, and it was a red-orange. So I picked some red-orange and then a kind of a purple-blue. So I have a lot of the blue in there, kind of a cornflower blue, I guess. And then various other colors that I had, DMC colors. I think that looks like a face down there, but anyway, I finished it. Yeah. And now I need to fully finish it into a bell pull. And a friend of mine, Monica, gave me the bell pull. So I have no excuse. I need to get that done. All right, y'all. That's it for FlossTube number 1. I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for coming to my stitchy home. Bye.